unless the people around the area feel safe, it's not a good idea to restart up. The existing current nuclear power plants are much more resilient against natural disaster. Even after the Fukushima accident, Tokyo Electric Power Company failed to meet the regulatory standard at the Kashiwazaki Kariwa power plants for several times. It is now technically possible or even politically possible that nuclear power plants could be the target of the military attack. That's no longer unrealistic theory. It is a reality. The risk, once it happened, the risk of nuclear power is too large for society to accept. So it's better to reduce the dependence on nuclear power as much as possible. The assumptions to promote nuclear power has to be reassessed again very carefully. Then we may not need nuclear power as much as the government says.
Japan is allowing the world's largest nuclear power plant to resume operations. It's a massive moment for the country as it returns to nuclear energy nearly 15 years after the Fukushima disaster. Joining us at this point is Professor Tatsujiro Suzuki, the former Vice Chair of the Japan Atomic Energy Commission and the Vice Director of Nuclear Atomic Heritage Foundation. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Do you think it's a good idea for Japan to restart the largest nuclear power plant in the world nearly 15 years after the Fukushima disaster?
Well, I think currently that it is a difficult situation for Tokyo Electric Power Company. And my belief is that you need the consent from the local community to start up. Unless otherwise, it's not a good idea to start up. One of the main issues is the evacuation planning process, which they need approval from the governor. The governor already gave approval, but I think many residents in the area are concerned about the evacuation plan, which once the accident happened, they have to evacuate. But it is difficult to get the assurance for the safety of the people once the nuclear accident happened. Given the experience of Fukushima accident, unless the people around the area feel safe, it's not a good idea to restart up.
There have also been protests against restarting the Kashiwazaki Kariwa plant. Over 300 protesters have taken part in them. The residents of Niigata don't have faith in the administration's ability to keep them safe, clearly. So what exactly is the plan here?
I think, according to the law, I think it's okay for TEPCO to start up. They have all passed the legal requirements. So what's going to happen is probably, despite opposition from the local people, probably they will start up the nuclear power plant because TEPCO needs those nuclear power plants for financial reasons. And also for carbon dioxide reduction targets, to meet the carbon decarbonization target, they need nuclear power plants. So what's going to happen is probably they're going to be start up even despite the opposition from the local community.
TEPCO is considering reactivating the first of 7 reactors at the plant on January 20th. It's right around the corner. Is there anything that could stop this?
It is possible that the local community can sue, legal fight against the TEPCO, against the regulators. But it would take probably months or years to get the final decisions. So at this moment, unless local community opposition convince the governor that it's not a good idea for him to allow the startup, it's very difficult to stop it.
Investigations also highlighted failures in tsunami hazard assessment, the protection of backup power, regulatory oversight, and emergency preparedness, describing the accident as fundamentally man-made. But there's also a big focus on the role of the natural disasters. Looking back, how could the Fukushima disaster have been avoided?
Well, I think All the reports made by the government and the parliament commissions, and also non-governmental investigation. Also, all these reports concluded this is a man-made accident rather than natural disaster accident. It means that they could have prevented such a severe accident. So I think the main cause of the accident is both technical and also organizational and institutional failure to prevent an accident. And unless you fix those organizational, institutional culture to prevent a nuclear accident, the accident could happen again. That's my concern.
A magnitude 9.0 earthquake off of Japan's east coast had triggered automatic shutdowns of certain reactors at the Fukushima Daiichi, but the plant had lost its connection to the external power grid. Is Japan now prepared to ensure that quakes don't impact nuclear plants? What lessons essentially have been learned?
Well, I think in terms of the hardware, physical preparedness against the tsunami or power loss, I think they have improved a lot. They have huge high barrier for against tsunami. They have also added many emergency power sources. So I think, technically speaking, the existing current nuclear power plants are much more resilient against natural disaster, tsunami or earthquakes. But the problem is that was not the only reason for the severe accident. They were not prepared because of the human errors and lack of safety cultures, and so that those kind of things, institutional failure, in particular the regulatory failures, and unless those things can be fixed, we are still concerned that the accident could happen. Unfortunately, even after the Fukushima accident, Tokyo Electric Power Company failed to meet the regulatory standard at the Kashiwazaki Kariwa power plants for several times, and that it's the how can I say, lack of leading to the lack of confidence, trust in Tokyo Electric Power companies. That is the main reason that the public are concerned about the safety of nuclear power plants.
Why did the company fail regulatory testing before?
Well, as reported in the media, and also there was an investigation, basically the lack of organizational safety culture, and that has not been fixed yet much. And the incident was a nuclear security rather than safety, but it's still the organizational cultural failure to meet the regulatory standard. So that's still a main concern.
Out of curiosity, can the Taiwan War and Japan's involvement, as stated by PM Takaichi, threaten Japan's nuclear facilities and cause a major disaster, like the threat that we're seeing at Zaporizhia in Ukraine?
Well, I don't know about the Taiwan case much. I don't have any much opinion on this, but in general, given the experience from the Russians' attack over the nuclear power plants in Ukraine, and also Israeli and American US attack over Iranian nuclear facilities, it is now technically possible or even politically possible that nuclear power plants could be the target of the military attack. That's no longer unrealistic theory. It is a reality that you have to face the risk of military attack against nuclear facilities. That's my concern.
What is the plan for Japan to reduce its own reliance on nuclear power? And would you be able to explain how dependent it actually is on nuclear power at this stage?
Well, after the Fukushima accident, the Japanese energy policy, as you know, was to reduce the dependence on nuclear power plants as much as possible. So they shifted the emphasis from nuclear power to renewable energy. The current energy policy, which says the maximum utilization of nuclear power, but it still says the main power source is renewable energy sources. So I think the best way to shift to the best way to reduce nuclear dependence is shift to renewable energy sources as much as possible. And also, to my opinion, demand control is very effective. Actually, the electricity demand in Japan has been declining gradually, steadily since 2011. And this trend could continue if we can manage the efficiency, improve the efficiency of energy use and electricity use. Uh, so I think the reduction of energy or improving energy efficiency plus renewable energy expansion could be probably the best way to reduce nuclear dependence.
What is your overall take on nuclear power, considering the risks that it poses and the larger perspective of increasing global conflicts?
Well, my basic idea about nuclear power is that it could, of course, contribute to climate change and energy security, but the risk, once it happens, the risk of nuclear power is too large for society to accept. So it's better to reduce the dependence on nuclear power as much as possible. In the short term, it may be difficult to eliminate nuclear power immediately, but I think it's already expensive, and the new nuclear power plants are more expensive, and so and also given the frequency of earthquake in Japan, nuclear power plants should be shut down anytime when the earthquake happens. So the supply stability is also a question. So my idea is the benefit of nuclear power has been also questioned already. So I would say that the only benefit is the replacing the fossil power plants. But unfortunately, again, what's happening in Japan is keeping the fossil power plants running. They have not decided to phase out coal power plants either. So if you have a fossil power plants and the nuclear power plants are running, you have to reduce the constraint the production of renewable energy sources. That's what's happening. That's not a good idea. So I think it's at this moment I would say we could and we should reduce the dependence on nuclear power plants.
Japan is making an effort to reduce its own reliance on nuclear power. Do you think it's a good idea to do that given the reality of rising nuclear threats every day amid global conflict?
Again, that first of all, as you said, that the benefit and cost of nuclear power plants should be reevaluated more seriously. After the Fukushima accident, the government did analyze the cost and benefit of nuclear power plants very seriously and then decided to phase out nuclear power by 2030s. But they haven't done much after that. The government has not done much to reassess the benefit and the risk of nuclear power plants much. And so I would say that that should be done very seriously at this moment. Secondly, that the risk of nuclear power should also, as you said, risk of nuclear power should include also nuclear proliferation risk and military attack against nuclear facilities is no longer reality. It could be no longer theory; it's a reality. So I think the risk of nuclear power plants should be reassessed again. And finally, energy demand projection itself is also very uncertain. And they claim that the energy demand will increase because of the new AI and data center, but the projection is always very difficult to predict actually, because demand is so fluctuating. And I think demand projection has to be reassessed again. So my basic idea is that the assumptions to promote nuclear power has to be reassessed again very carefully. Then we may not need nuclear power as much as the government says.
All right, Professor, thank you so much for joining us and speaking with us.
Thank you.